Welcome to ESG Decoded, the podcast where we unpack how business, innovation, and impact intersect to shape a sustainable future. I'm Erika Schiller, one of the ESG Decoded hosts and Senior Vice President of Project Development at Climeco. This special video series was filmed live at San Francisco Climate Week 2026, capturing conversations with forward-thinking and influential voices in sustainability today. These leaders aren't just talking about change, they're driving it. Each episode delivers real-world insights and inspiration you can apply to make an impact in your own sphere. Stay tuned for more episodes from this exclusive series. For now, let's decode ESG together. Special thanks to Amazon Sustainability for their support and sponsorship of this episode. Amazon is known for speed and scale. That same approach now drives their sustainability efforts. Guided by data and science and powered by invention, Amazon works backward from ambitious targets to drive measurable progress. Amazon has delivered 1.5 billion packages by electric delivery vehicles globally. They're also building the largest carbon-free energy portfolio of any corporation globally, with over 700 carbon-free energy projects worldwide. Every delivery and every data center is an opportunity to move forward. Learn more at sustainability.aboutamazon.com. Hello and welcome to ESG Decoded. I'm your host, Erika Schiller, and today we're doing a special series during San Francisco Climate Week. I'm joined by Sueli Shah. Sueli, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So Sueli is at DoorDash, and she leads global sustainability and community impact. And you've been at DoorDash for 8 years, and your roles have evolved. I'd love to hear if you could share how did you get to this role, and what do you do in this global sustainability and community impact position?
Yeah, so my role, like you said, oversees sustainability and community impact. So environmental as well as social programs across dashers, merchants, and customers and communities. And we look for ways that we can use our product and our expertise to help merchants, dashers, and customers be more successful. And we operate kind of as an incubator, testing new solutions that can solve problems and kind of advance sustainability and outcomes for those stakeholders. But my role when it was first created was quite different than it is today. My role was originally focused on a particular social impact program that was just a pilot at the time. This was 8 years ago. And that program was about using DoorDash's logistics infrastructure to power deliveries of surplus food waste to nonprofits who would support people who are experiencing food insecurity. The program has evolved a lot, taken different forms, but the spirit of it is still the same today. And it's evolved into a program called Project Dash, which now powers deliveries on behalf of hundreds of food banks and food pantries and healthcare organizations, social enterprises, food recovery organizations, powering millions of deliveries now for that sector by using what DoorDash does best, which is that logistics layer.
So you came in for that impact focus, and you've been able to expand your role to test more new approaches to drive sustainability?
Yes. Yeah. And I think of that program as so powerful because it's an example of where we tested many different approaches and found product market fit for a particular audience. In this case, food banks especially are a major area of investment through Project Dash. And we really are helping them reach more people more efficiently in a way that increases dignity and convenience for people experiencing food insecurity. And I think we really touched on a way that our solution can elevate the way that help is provided to communities. So it's that level of kind of like an unlock that we seek to uncover through our other programs as well.
I was going to ask what keeps you engaged, but how could you not be engaged with all the impact that you're making?
Yeah, that's very nice. In addition to that, I would add that I think of myself as very interdisciplinary. I've never been somebody with like, even like a dream job or a particular area that I wanted to, go deep on or get a PhD in. I think of myself as somebody who loves learning about new areas and solving new problems. And my role at DoorDash has continued to afford me that like year after year. And I still see so much opportunity ahead. I think a lot of it, some of it is just kind of culture. DoorDash culture champions that. And I feel very lucky for that. I think another aspect of DoorDash that has created a great environment for that type of orientation is just the complexity of our ecosystem. We're serving so many different stakeholders, and our business has so many impacts in the real world that there's just so many opportunities to make an impact.
How do you prioritize when you have the dashers, the merchants, the customers, and you're thinking about how to connect them and then also drive sustainability?
Yeah. One is I'm pretty good at saying no.
An important skill.
I agree. And it's like, I feel like sometimes these roles in sustainability and impact generally is like, contrary to the kind of brand of what it must be like to work in sustainability, I have to say no to a lot of really great ideas all the time because there's so many different ways that a company can do good. And I think it's important for every company to think about where you can make an outsized impact.
Okay.
And in doing so, really deprioritize the things that don't really reach that bar. And that's how we've approached it. We've looked for areas where we can really make a difference.
Yeah. That's great. When we think about customer expectations, when you're shopping on DoorDash, you expect speed and convenience. Does that compete with sustainability? Is there a trade-off there?
I think that is maybe an assumption or misconception. I think it doesn't have to, and it's that belief that powers our approach.
Okay.
We look for ways that we look for win-wins. So we look for ways that you don't have to make those types of trade-offs. An example, so if you think about certain, usually more dense urban environments, making a delivery on a bike or an e-bike is in many cases going to be faster.
Because you're not stuck in traffic.
Exactly. You're not looking for parking. Picking up the order is faster and more efficient. And so dashers are able to complete more deliveries and as a result, make more money. Of course, customers are getting their order more quickly. And so there's just I think that's a great example of how more efficient operations doesn't have to be at odds with sustainability, because also, of course, if you're doing more deliveries on a bike or an e-bike, there's a sustainability benefit as well.
That's a great example. That works in the busy cities, maybe less than in the suburbs or rural spots. But so what do you think are some of the most promising sustainability levers at DoorDash, and how does your team identify them?
Well, like I was saying, we look for areas where we can make an outsized impact. And for DoorDash, there's, of course, how deliveries are completed. So that's like often the vehicles.
The transport. Okay.
Exactly. So we talked about the opportunity with what we call two wheels, so bikes and e-bikes. And then to your point about more suburban areas, there's also an opportunity with electric cars.
Okay.
And then, so that's kind of like how deliveries are completed, right? And then there's the what's being delivered. That is an area where we can certainly play a role in helping restaurants think about their packaging, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And so those kind of make up our focus areas right now from a sustainability perspective, vehicles and packaging.
Mm-hmm. Can you share some examples? I heard the bicycle piece of how that's worked and the piece around how you're connecting food waste to other channels. But can you share some challenges or some experiments you guys tried that didn't quite work out the way you expected?
Yeah. So on the packaging front, we've been chipping away at the reusable packaging opportunities. Kind of a crazy idea, right? If you think about like how
You're gonna
takeout
have to get
packaging,
it back.
yeah,
What if
and
those
it's
people
just
wanna
not
keep
how
it?
we operate in our day to
Yeah.
day. So it's a little out there, but I think it's very cool, and I feel like if not us, then who can figure out reusable packaging at scale, right? So we've explored it in various ways over the years, and we're actually currently running a pilot, which I would love to tell you about. But maybe in response to your question about what hasn't worked, we have tested reusable packaging models and run pilots that didn't really yield results. But even more importantly, like we weren't really able to learn what works or what doesn't. And that's often like how I think about success. It's not just like, did this thing take off? But it's also, did we learn something interesting that will inform our future approach, like what we do next?
Right.
And so with reusables, we've run pilots in the past where, frankly, customers just didn't really participate.
Okay.
We have made...
Are customers in this sense the buyers or the restaurants or both?
I meant customers as in buyers, so people using the DoorDash app to order, their
But you need
their
a
sandwich or
restaurant to
whatnot.
participate too.
Definitely. And that's true of like so many of our pilots. You're thinking about different stakeholders and their participation, right? In this case, we did onboard a handful of restaurants in a few cities. One of those cities was New York. We had a handful of restaurants participating in a reusable packaging model in New York, and customers could add the option of getting their order packaged in a reusable container when they placed an order. And like I said, we just didn't really get many customers opting in.
Okay.
But I think you really had to be in the know as a customer to even like know to look for it, and then to know what it was, and then know it enough and be interested enough to then opt in.
Right.
So it was hard for us to... I don't think it was successful as a demand test. Like we weren't really able to know for sure whether a customer was not opting in because they saw it and didn't like it, or because they just never even saw it at all. Right. So we didn't get the read on whether customers were actually engaged.
Right.
And then we also, because of the low engagement, weren't able to get a read on the viability of the model that we created. So ultimately, not as useful as a kind of test and learn pilot. We did see some positive signals, like directionally positive signals, like customers who did participate were generally excited about it. And we saw some directionally positive signal on customers placing more orders or larger orders as a response to having the option of their order being delivered in a more sustainable way.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but definitely interesting.
Who made the investment? Because you have this reusable packaging that all these restaurants are using. How did you manage that piece?
It was DoorDash's investment. And like in any pilot, I think of our role as like investing in the pilot as kind of a catalytic opportunity to test something new. So in this case, it was DoorDash. Yeah.
Great. And so you said you're doing some new pilots now in reusable packaging.
Yeah. So to address some of the concerns that we just talked through, we started thinking through a totally different approach to how we might test reusables and get a real read on what would be possible if we could implement a true reuse system. And we use an approach that I call a golden market approach. A golden market is like where you identify it could be a geography or some kind of like limited scope where you create the perfect conditions for an intervention, and then you see what happens as a result. And for this pilot, we identified a small community. It's the city of Half Moon Bay, which is just south of here. Yep. And we onboarded a handful of local restaurants. So it's kind of an ideal testing condition because it's close to the city, but it's actually quite geographically isolated from a DoorDash perspective, right? Because if you're placing a DoorDash order in Half Moon Bay, it's going to come from a Half Moon Bay restaurant. You can't order from all the great restaurants here in San Francisco, of course.
Yeah, it's a long drive for our listeners who don't know Half Moon Bay.
Thank you. So kind of a way for us to almost have like a little petri dish.
Yeah.
But also a really lovely petri dish. Half Moon Bay is, it's gorgeous. It's right on the coast. Very sustainably minded community. We partnered with the city of Half Moon Bay and the county of San Mateo, and we brought in a packaging partner who does like washing and sanitizing of reusable containers.
Oh, okay.
So to go back to the restaurant piece, we onboarded a number of local restaurants into the pilot, and together they comprise a solid chunk of deliveries that happen in Half Moon Bay. So we're kind of able to achieve that critical mass.
Okay.
And we are testing out a default model. So by default, I mean your orders come in reusables by default.
So customers have to opt out. If they don't want it.
They actually automatically get their order delivered in reusables. And rather than looked at customer behavior up front, we look at whether customers are returning the packaging, because returns are a hugely important part of what makes a reusable packaging model work as well. And with this model, we're just a couple months into the pilot so far. We've put thousands of reusable containers into circulation so far, which means thousands of single-use containers not ending up in the landfill. Yep, exactly. Importantly, from my perspective, as I think about kind of the team's focus and strategy, we're able to get much more usable insights about merchant experience with the packaging and how it affects their in-store operations, as well as the customer experience and feedback with regards to like how they enjoy the reuse system that we're testing out. So hopefully I'll have even more to share with you in a few weeks once the pilot wraps, but it's been a really great...
And how long is the pilot duration?
A few months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned golden market. You decided Half Moon Bay was a golden market. Can you share more? So it sounded like it's a contained region where people are interested in this option, right? And interested in sustainability. And there were enough DoorDash orders, and you're not too far from, I guess, have you gone out there and visited the site? Do you have DoorDash corporate members supporting this in some way?
Yeah. So I should clarify, the golden market is something that we create. So the golden market refers to the fact that we are creating the perfect conditions.
Okay. But it didn't exist on their own.
It didn't exist on their own.
Okay.
But we knew that a certain context would be most conducive to creating a golden market. If we go back to my New York City example of the reusable packaging program, we had dozens of restaurants participating, but in New York City, that's a drop in the bucket. So we weren't able to reach that critical mass of coverage where we could implement like a true kind of community-driven system. Whereas a customer ordering in Half Moon Bay today, they've got locations all over the town, because there's locations all over the town to return the packaging in. What I wanted to say, and as well as in like the post office, for example. And so because of the size and kind of the nature of that particular community, where we are able to create like that golden or perfect conditions kind of approach. And then you asked about whether we've gone down and visited. And yes, I was just there last week. It was really lovely. particularly as a way to just hear directly from restaurants who are already asking, like, is this going to continue beyond the pilot?
Because they like it.
They like it, yeah.
Oh,
they like
good.
it for the packages themselves, like in terms of food quality. They like seeing the love from customers. So they many of them have the return bins around their front door, and they'll say customers drop by and ask about it or return their packaging in those containers, and it's just been a way to kind of like a brand opportunity for them as well. So there's a lot of, I think, enthusiasm for what it represents.
And since they have this reusable packaging, is it only for DoorDash orders, or is it also if someone walks up and says, I want to order something to go? Is it also for that?
I love that idea. The pilot is just for DoorDash orders.
Okay.
But I agree that in this wonderful future that we are iterating towards, it would be more ubiquitous.
Yeah. Because then they wouldn't have to have two different sets of containers and manage that inventory, right?
Exactly. And part of the beauty of this particular pilot and the golden market approach is you've got a contingent of restaurants all participating in the same model at the same time. It's a very hard system to stand up in general, but definitely alone, right?
Yeah.
Like it practically wouldn't make sense for one restaurant to use one reusable packaging system and then for another restaurant to be working on a separate one, right? Because then you lose that convenience factor.
That's great. I love hearing about that. And I'd love to, hear in a few months what you thought about it and what you learned from it and what, identifying the next golden market. We did talk about pilots and tests for this, but is behavior change also an element of driving more sustainability in DoorDash's business? Are you trying to tackle that with customers, or is that, a frontier idea?
I think behavior change is a part of everything, at least everything that we've talked about, right, with regards to vehicle choice and packaging choice for both customers and merchants. There's areas where we could potentially, have more control, but I think I should say, like, there's areas where we may have more direct control, but I think the areas in which we have kind of indirect influence are actually the areas where we have a bigger opportunity to...
Because it's a bigger part of your footprint?
It's a bigger part of our footprint. It's also, in other cases, like a bigger opportunity to drive a shift in an industry or a habit, right?
Okay.
Like with packaging as an example, kind of like what did I say? Like, if not us, then who?
Yeah.
We are in such a privileged position to be able to, for now, test those types of future models that ultimately really are about behavior change. But it's just such a big opportunity.
And do your customers and, DoorDashers, do they expect do they expect you to talk about sustainability, to think about it? Is that a requirement, a kind of license to operate, or is it something that you think it's not driving behavior in terms of choosing DoorDash versus others?
I think everybody's different. I mean, you probably make your purchasing decisions based on a certain set of values, and mine might have some overlap with yours, but then I might have some other perspectives. And I think that merchants and dashers are no different. On the community impact side, we run programs that have some intersection with sustainability, but that are also more squarely about like helping small businesses be successful through education and local resources and even networking with one another. And on the Dasher side, we have programs that promote financial literacy and financial well-being. And so, each of these stakeholder groups has different pressures and needs and values. I guess I say that all to make the point that I think it's so important to, when when driving behavior change or just when communicating with any of these audiences, to think about it in the terms that's relevant for them. With restaurants, I think this is maybe an easy example with packaging. Restaurants, I think some are interested in the sustainability angle, but that's likely not going to be the selling point to try a new model. The selling point will probably come down to cost. Like, is it cost kind of on par cost-wise with their other, existing packaging?
Yeah.
And also food quality is just as important, because that's like that's their product. So does it preserve the food in transit?
Yeah.
Luckily, reusable packaging is actually a really great experience to eat out of because it's so stable. But sometimes sustainability is just going to be like the last talking point with an audience like that.
So you focus on the drivers that are important to them, and maybe you can say, at the end, it's also more sustainable. But hey, look at all these benefits that help you make that business case.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's super interesting. Thank you so much. I think let's switch gears a little bit and talk more about you and personal reflection. So can you share with us a female mentor or leader or someone that you have admired or that inspires you?
I think I'm going to say moms, especially new moms. I have a 1-year-old, and it's like the best thing in the world. But it's a lot to fit into one day or like one brain, one life. And I don't know, it's not really like a specific insight. I think I think it's that I have this new awareness of and appreciation for the capability and experience that so many women at work and outside of work are like going through every day. It's just I find it very inspiring, and inspiring to be a part of that too.
Yeah, it is a lot of work, but a lot of responsibility and also a lot of joy.
Yeah.
I have two as well. So if there was one environmental challenge that you could solve overnight, what would it be?
It would be very cool if sustainability wasn't politicized. Like if we could all just, look at the problem pragmatically.
Yeah.
Look at the facts. Like
we're all impacted.
Yeah. Make some trade-offs. It would be nice if balanced perspectives were championed.
Yeah.
That would be very nice.
I would like that too.
Great.
Let me know when you work on that.
I'll let you know.
And then when we think about emerging sustainability leaders, these could be people who want to shift their career into sustainability, or perhaps they are entering corporate roles today that include sustainability. Do you have any advice that you would share to help them be successful in their careers as they're starting out?
Sure. There are a few things that I always come back to for this when I get requests for advice. One is that you don't have to have a job with the word sustainability in the title to have an impact.
Yeah, great. Agreed.
Yeah. And so I guess like expand your perspective on what making an impact could be, and what types of roles to look for, and the ways that you could work in maybe other functions and infuse sustainability into your work. And then, even for the roles that do have sustainability or impact or whatever the word is in the titles, keep in mind that those words are very broad. They're used very, very often to refer to a collection of different things. And so I think it is important to look at the next level of detail at the role, or if you're already in a role, to really think about the value that you are there to deliver to the company and tailor your approach as a result. So if you're interviewing for a role, like tailor your approach, or if you're in a role, tailor your strategy to what the role actually is about. And I think, in my role and my team, we're a very operational team. So we really value a strategy and operations mindset, where there might be other functions at other companies that are focused more on partnerships, or you could be an engineer and work in social impact, and so or social impact and sustainability, and all of these areas. So I think it's like recognizing that that there are lots of ways to have an impact, and that there are lots of skill sets that the space needs, and kind of like tailoring your approach to those, and also realizing that you might have the skills for a given role, or you might have the skills to work in sustainability, even if you don't have sustainability experience per se. Yeah.
You could bring your business experience to make that business case for sustainability.
Totally.
Or you could use your existing skills and apply it to drive sustainability. Yeah. I love that. So, I also appreciated when you were talking about, even if sustainability isn't the key driver for a decision, that it can still be an important part of it, right? And you can still get the benefits, like when you were talking about reusable packaging and why a restaurant might choose it, or why a dasher might choose a two-wheeled vehicle versus four.
Yeah. I think that can apply internally as well, like making the business case, like you said.
Well, that's great. If there's any more information that if our listeners want to learn more about DoorDash or your sustainability drivers, is there somewhere they can look to find more information?
We have a website and some social media under the name DoorDash Impact, so check that out.
Great. And I'm sure we'll link that in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sueli.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And you can listen to and subscribe to ESG Decoded from our website or wherever you get your podcasts. So thank you so much. Amazon's operations include data and fulfillment centers, corporate buildings, and a global transportation network, a footprint that comes with responsibility. That's why Amazon is working toward a carbon-free energy future by optimizing efficiency, investing where it matters, and supporting communities where we operate. From more efficient data centers to an increasingly electrified delivery network, we're rethinking how energy is used from the server to the doorstep. Learn more at amazon.com/sustainability. Thanks for tuning in to our special San Francisco Climate Week video series. We hope this episode sparked new ideas and inspired you to take meaningful action on your ESG journey, whether through collaboration, innovation, or bold leadership. Stay tuned for more conversations with the change makers shaping a more sustainable future. Subscribe on your favorite streaming platform. Follow at ESG Decoded on social media, and visit climbco.com for more insights and resources. Until next time, keep driving positive impact.